session 4 of God on Display. And the last couple of days we've been looking at how the church displays the character of God. Now we need to look at ourselves as individuals. Anyone can be a kind and generous person, but if we're to demonstrate who God is, we need to stand out, but of course stand out in a good way. To quote a Hollywood film of the 80s, we want people to look at us and say, "I'll have what she's having." One speaker I heard said, "We need to show the world that we reign in life." Now he's not talking about lording it over other people. He means to show that life does not overwhelm us no matter what happens. There are some Christians who take this to mean that you always have to be smiling and victorious. It doesn't always fool people. People can see through insincerity. And it's also quite dangerous. I think you mustn't mourn because a loved one has died. You've got to keep smiling and saying it was God's will, therefore I'm happy. And the outcome is that grief is not dealt with and it just gets pushed down where it does damage. To reign in life is to do things well and to cope with the bad times with a calm assurance in the goodness of God. We need to demonstrate that through His power we can not only overcome the bad times, but we can actually grow closer to Him through them. One outstanding way of demonstrating the love of God is the ability to forgive. And I'm not just talking about little everyday hurts. I'm talking about the things that hurt us badly, the big things. There's a story of an American young couple who were kidnapped by a gang of guys. The boy was killed and the girl was raped and beaten and left for dead. She did manage to get away and get help. The gang were caught and the ringleader was sentenced to death. Now she was a Christian, but she felt right through the trial and right up to the time that he was to be executed that as soon as he died she'd be free. But it was actually on the morning that he was to be executed that she realised it's not going to change my feelings at all. The only thing I can do is forgive. And so she set about that process with the help of Jesus to forgive, and that's when her healing began. To forgive a hurt like that, we can't do it humanly. It has to be the help of Jesus. Of course, we also have the example of Jesus himself. I mean, he was the creator of life, unjustly and cruelly put to death by the ones that he had been a part of creating. Creation killing their creator, and yet Jesus chose to forgive them. And if he can forgive, then so ought we. The power to forgive speaks volumes, because it's not the natural human reaction. I mean, how often do we see a family coming out of court, their son or someone's daughter has been killed by a drunk driver, and their reaction is, "I'll never forgive." Or if they want to be a little bit more gentle, they'll say, "Well, I'll forgive, but I'll never forget." Well, of course, that's not forgiveness either. What God asks for is unconditional forgiveness. This is what stops people in their tracks and makes them say, "Why? How? How can you do that?" Because it's actually displaying the nature of God.